Hey, what's up guys, David here with After Video Effects, and welcome back to another video tutorial, and welcome back to part 2 for this tutorial. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest you watch this before you continue watching this video. So we're just going to continue where we left off. So next thing we're going to do is just adjust some of these jet shading here. So let's come to my render settings for element. First off, let's change this to preview. That will speed up the rendering process. And let's go into light and maybe make it dark. So that will give us nice lighting for the jet. Let's turn on shadows, ray trace it. So we get nice shadows here, and let's turn on ambient occlusion. So we get nice shading here. Maybe we can set it to ray trace. And yeah, that looks really nice. Let's look at the output. I want my shadows to be pretty dark, so I'm going to turn that up a bit. Maybe 1.5. And let's turn on diffuse. And maybe turn up our specular. So we get nice highlights coming here. So if I look at this in half res, it looks pretty nice. Okay, so next thing we have to do is make our sun. So to do that, very simple, is to make a new solid. We'll make it black this time, and we'll call this flare. And we're going to add optical flares, and we'll hit options. Okay, so here we are on optical flares. After browsing through some of my flare presets, I really liked this beached preset. It's in the light folder if you haven't purchased optical flares on Video Copilot. So I may just change this to more like a whitish color, maybe about there, and there we go. And I'm gonna maybe adjust some of these settings. So let's go into my lens texture, and let's change it to maybe DAG. Yeah, maybe grainy looks good. No, I don't like that. Yeah, I like this. So maybe we'll use dirty instead. And we'll turn down the illumination radius just a bit. And just maybe adjust that. And we can add chromatic aberration, but I don't prefer to turn that on. And yeah, I think that's done. So we'll hit OK. Okay, so here we go. Let's position it somewhere here. And we'll set the transfer mode to screen. Okay, and then we'll put it underneath our element 3D. And move our camera up here. So let's adjust some of the settings. We'll turn the brightness down, maybe about 50. And we'll turn up the scale. Maybe about 200, something like that. And maybe we could just maybe give it a bit darker a bit. Okay, 60. Okay, I'm just gonna turn on my size switch, and let's make another new solid. So Control Y, and we'll call this air. And we'll add Trapcode Particular. and we'll solo it. So let's change this to a box, and we'll double it, the particles per second. And maybe we could spread this out. Maybe you can spread it out quite a bit. And come down to the particle look. Let's change it to a cloudlet. And turn up the size. Turn up the size random. And turn down opacity very low, maybe around 15. And turn up the opacity random all the way up. Okay, and come down here, turn on shading for main. That'll give it a nice shading. And come down to the physics tab. We want the particles to be moving this way. So we're going to actually change the wind to minus 500. Okay. So, and maybe we'll change up the life of these particles. So if we come and look at this, the particles will be moving this way. Okay. As the animation plays, which is pretty cool. Okay, so maybe I'll just crank up the size a bit more, and maybe 250 is a good amount. And I want the air to be already on screen. I don't want it to develop, so we're just going to slide this across here and extend our solid comp. Okay, now look at that, that's pretty cool. Now we're just gonna set T, and bring the opacity down, maybe just 15%, because we want it just to give that misty like look as the jet comes in. And you can adjust the speed as well, so maybe we can make it faster, maybe like minus 600. Okay, and cool, that's it for the air. I might turn on the shy switch for the air and the flare and the solid, because we don't really need those. Okay, so I've got a smudgy image that I used from Optical Flares. If we turn this to screen, and we can get some nice textures here. Alright, now let's add our color correction, so Control Y, and we'll call this CC, and we'll add the tint effect and the curves adjustment, and maybe we can add a stylized glow effect on top. So let's focus on the tint. Let's make it about 30%. And let's add a little contrast to our jet. So if we just bring this point up, maybe down a bit, make some really nice contrast here. Something like that. Take away some red and add some blue to our scene. Maybe bump up our and add our glow. Maybe we could drop it down to like 0.1. Turn up the threshold a bit. Spread it out. So we're just giving that nice detail of our glow. That looks pretty nice. So maybe we could add our smudge effect maybe on top of our color correction so it's a little bit more noticeable. Something like that. And maybe we could come in to adjust the light color. So maybe like a bit more orange. Like that. Okay, and we could add some motion blur to our jet and ocean. So if we come down here, total motion blur for that, total motion blur for the element 3D layer and our jet. So now we get some nice motion blur. So I'm going to do a RAM preview and let's see what we created. Okay, so let's take a look. Cool. Yeah, I think that mist really does the job. Maybe. Not sure. Anyway, yeah, you could adjust some of the settings. But for now, I think that's it. Other than you can just like adjust your curves adjustment. Maybe adjust the RGB a bit. And yeah, and maybe you could turn up your opacity for the air. And yeah, so that's it guys. So that's our CG jet scene. So I hope you enjoyed the long tutorial, but there were a lot of techniques that went into this, so I hope you learned something new. So thank you everyone, my name's David. I hope you learned interesting techniques that you can use for your own creations. Please give a like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. And I will see you in the next video.